Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. How are you? And happy Tuesday. Woo, woo, woo. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited about this day and so looking forward to the great and awesome conversation that is going to take place with my guest. Oh my goodness. Indeed, it has been an exciting time since I learned that she said yes. When she first told me yes, that she would love to be a part of this, I was elated, woo woo, because to watch her journey through social media, in addition to our joint coach class, woo woo, yes. It has been really an awesome wonder to see her transform into this even greater person that she already was. But I would love, 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 love to introduce you to my guest. The Big Hug Conversation guest today is Miss Brenda Small. Yay! Welcome her to the stage, y'all.
You are too much, Sonia. Thank you so much for even inviting me to be among you.
Oh,
here with all that you do and how awesome you are. It is my pleasure to actually be here and to share with your audience all the things I know that we'll discuss. So thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I thank you for that. I appreciate that. I take it all in. Miss Brenda, I have just been, following you, right? And your Facebook page, all I see is, realtor, speaker, certified life transformation coach, author. I mean, the list goes on and on. Former president, board of directors of the District of Columbia Association of Realtors. Woo! What else? What else? What else? Personal management or personnel management specialist for the Army when you were at the working at the Pentagon. And there's so much more, but I'm gonna wait till we get down that long list of all the great and awesome things that you have been doing. Woo! With all of that being said, what would you say, or who would you say that you are?
Well, that's a great question, Sonia. Now, if I tell you everything, you know what they say on the military side.
No, please don't. Right. I want to live, Miss Brenda. I want to live.
That's a good thing. However, I'm going to answer that question in two pieces. The first is when people talk about kind of who you are, I believe that one, there's what I call the I am. And then secondly, there's the I do. And people tend to mix up the I do, like I'm an engineer or I'm a realtor or I'm a teacher with their I am. And so the I am, I believe, is intrinsic. It came with me at birth, right? It's my divine gifting that I consider my I am. And why am I here? What purpose do I serve? I believe that is one of service. And that's service to other people. I truly believe my life has been about service and it will continue to be until the day that I leave here. So that's real important for me. The I do, again, are the things that I have acquired and taken on, the different occupations or professions, the different things, activities that I do for other people. That's what I do. But my I am is really who I am as a person, dynamic, sincere, caring, loving. Those are really the qualities that I want to convey, that I want people to share with me and embrace as a part of who I really am. So I hope that answers your question.
Wow, indeed, it answered my question. Woo! I love that. Oh my gosh, Miss Brenda. It was as if you already knew the question and you worked work that answer and put it all together with the perfect wording and everything, but knowing who you are, even the portion of me knowing who you are, I know that came straight from in here, you know, and you knowing who you are, and what a treasure that truly is, because oftentimes many don't, you know, I don't care how old they are, you know, but they struggle in knowing, you know, who they are, not about what they do, but that I am, you know. So wow, that was beautiful.
And that's a
Um,
journey though, Sonia. You know, several years ago, I probably would have not responded that way. It's taken me to do my own journey, my own internal journey to
yeah,
find out really who I am, because even I was so wrapped up in what I do. You know, we're raised that way.
right.
Get out, get a great job, get a good education, find some great employment. And so we mistakenly assume that as who we are. That's
Yeah.
just what we do, right? It almost has nothing to do with the person, the
Mm,
internal person that we are, and what we convey and what we really want to be and do for other people. So it's taken me a while to really filter through that. It's a process, and I'm still a work in progress.
amen.
Embrace that. I think that's what's important.
Ooh, I love it. It's a process, and I'm still a work in progress.
I
How
admit
about that? How, me too. Ooh, oh, I love that. You're gonna have to coin that. That's beautiful. I mean, that touched like real deep in me. So I'm sure, you know, it did with some of our listeners.
that one
Wow.
down because that was a natural.
It just flowed off. So yeah, you write that one down.
I got
Woo.
it.
Um, with all of that that you shared about, you know, who you are, what you do, and even this whole process um, that you're on, you know, on this journey that you're on. What would you say your passion is? And then what led you to it? I mean, because again, we went through this whole list and you have shared more of, you know, the even greater of who you are. What's your passion?
Mhm. That's a great question. Let me ask. Let me ask this. They always say, don't ask a question from a question.
Right, with the
Right, right. But when I was growing up, I knew a little girl. She was probably about 9, maybe 10 years old. And I'd watch her walk to school every single day. And she would be dragging her feet, right? I mean, just kind of dragging her feet, going to school. And come to find out, she was embarrassed and ashamed because her shoes literally had holes in the bottom of her soles.
Mm.
And she would put cardboard in there so her feet wouldn't drag on the ground. And she also was wearing hand-me-down clothes, right? This little girl was one of 10. She was actually the eldest of 10 children. Well, that little girl was me. And part of my journey was a journey of financial lack. And that's a reality. But I had a non-negotiable truth, and I didn't know it was called that at the time. The non-negotiable truth was to beat the odds. Beat the odds of lack, to beat the odds of not being successful, of not succeeding at whatever it was that I would do in life. And I was raised to get a good education. My mom and dad always encouraged that. They promoted that, even with 10 children, eventually 10 children. And so I just took that to heart. And so everything I did to beat the odds, to overcome the challenges. So I never looked at defeat as being even a possibility, right? That's not to say that it wasn't a challenge. It wasn't a struggle, because trust me, it was, even up until several years ago. in my life and in my journey, but it was always about making something more of myself, being more, having more, giving more. And that's a part of, again, if we go back to kind of who are you, that's a big part of who I am. I want to see other people succeed. I want to see them go through the same internal process that I have to find who I am. And so that they can do the same and maximize the potential that they have to be great and do great things. And so that's really important for me. That little girl pushed through many, many, many challenges coming up. We can talk about some of those perhaps later, but that was key in shaping and molding and developing who I am. And so if I can share a word of encouragement, it's circumstances are real. Circumstances are a reality, not your destiny. I carry that with me to remind me all the time, because that little girl also, for many, many, many years, until even recently, reminded me of the past and of the things I didn't have, and that I thought I would never, ever get, or never get to be in a certain place, right? And so there was always the doubt. I look at what I thought my pain points, again, these are terms that I didn't know earlier on. My pain points were fear of not being enough, fear of lack and loss. I lost my dad when I was 18, but my mom and dad separated actually when I was 14. And so, here she is with 10 children, raising us all by herself, basically. So yeah, the welfare and the food stamps, and then eventually, dad's veterans checks, that's all real. That was all reality. But my destiny was definitely much more than that. And that's what I embraced, of just beating the odds, being the best that I can be at whatever it is I do, and help bring others along the way. My passion is to help other people succeed. I'm pretty much now on the women empowerment space, because I believe it is so important, particularly for women, to believe in themselves, to eliminate all the stuff that we're told that we can't do, we can't be, to stop doubting, start trusting in ourselves. And I just think that those are some key things to help propel us to where we really need to be, and that we can be so much more powerful and really utilize the potential that we've been naturally given.
Yeah.
That's a gift that we've been naturally given, and we need to utilize it in some very powerful, powerful ways.
Wow. Again, just beautiful nuggets. I will ask, how did you stay on that path? Because oftentimes, as you said, we all are going to go through some terrible things, or some bad things, maybe not as terrible as the other one. We all are going to deal with that. And then some will deal with the what they call the imposter syndrome. Some never make it, right? Some never get to the place that you are, where you have overcome that lack. You've overcome that mindset, that it was the thing that just kept you pushing. Not everybody has gotten to that place. Not everybody, there are many who quit because it was so, too hard or whatever. What would you say is the key to overcoming, to getting over that hurdle, to get to the place that you have described as your destiny?
Well, Sonia, I don't know that I have arrived. Again, I'm still a work in progress. So there's still much more work to be done, obviously. But I believe just embracing where you are at any given point in time. And I think the other thing is, one, being true to yourself and telling yourself the truth. We all, I shouldn't say all, but many of us tend to hide behind ourselves, right?
Right.
There's a legendary singer and actress, Pearl Bailey, And some of you that are millennials will probably won't even know that name. But she said, you never find yourself until you find the truth, until you tell yourself the truth, something like that. And that's just so true. And so, again, it's been a struggle. It's been a journey. I'm not perfect. And I don't even need to strive for perfection. And even saying that has been a revelation in the last several years. So I was told, again, to get out there and work hard and do the best you can. And kind of like miraculously all by yourself, you become a success. Well, we know that's not true.
Right.
Other people to come along with you, those that are like-minded, those that care about you, those that will encourage and support you to also be there. The important thing for me is the fact that I just believed that I could do more, that I could be more. I was encouraged to do that. And even in spite of challenges and difficulties, man, I just wasn't giving up because there was just something more out there, whatever that more was. Even now, whatever that more is, I'm still searching. I'm still striving. I'm still giving it a shot because I have expectations that there's just more for me to do. That's why I'm here. You know, you asked about kind of who I am and purpose. That's why I'm here, is to serve and to help others also discover who they are and to tell themselves the truth, because that's what's important. You know, you talk about imposter syndrome. Yep, you're looking at that too. That's been a part of my journey of, again, not even accounting for really what I have done, of just even discounting that, the importance of what I have accomplished and thinking that, well, you know, yeah, okay, whatever. And yet, Sonia, there have been so many people in my life that have promoted and pushed me. We call them sponsors or allies anymore, but there's some, I call them pivotal people, you know, whether it was several bosses overseas as well as back here in the States, certainly my mom. So I think the first thing is being a person of faith. My mom is a person of faith. I mean, exceptional faith. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to even accomplish being a mother, a single parent with 10 children. I mean, she's an amazing woman. And so I get my strength and my faith from her. So that's number one. Let me just acknowledge that straight up. It's not even about me. It's about my mom and what she portrays and what she embraces. And she has shared that through several generations. So that's really important. But the other is the fact that there were other people that I consider, again, pivotal people that believed in me. You know, even if I didn't feel I was totally equipped or that I really had it going on, there were people, and just to this day, that still believe in me as offering value. And that's what I'm here to do. And so I have an obligation and a commitment and an accountability to even live up to their expectations. When I believe that they are serving a valuable purpose by believing in me. So I owe them something. I owe many people where I am today. And I thank them for believing in me and opening doors for me to walk through those doors until I could get enough strength and encouragement and belief and understanding myself to then walk upright. So I kind of like it sometimes to even being babies, watching babies learn how to walk. You know, they're crawling, right? And they pull up on something. And what do? They fall down and they start whimpering and crying. But they always get back up and they try it again. And then they fall down. And so what do we do as parents? We run over to them usually and try to stand them up. Okay, Johnny, do it again, Johnny, do it again, Johnny. Johnny's gonna do it again anyway.
Right.
They fall down again, they pull themselves back up, and then they start walking step by step by step. And I think we as adults, we forget some of the basic things, right? How we even started to walk.
That's good. That's real good. Wow. That's real good. Brenda, I love it. It is, wow. Great nuggets for all of us, you know, who are struggling, who have been, you know, have struggled in that particular realm of you know, our mindset and that box that we sometimes place ourselves in, you know, for whatever reason, while we hold on to whether it's the negative or believing that we can't, you know, do something. I love your story of triumph, and that it's a continual, you know, as you said, it's a process. It continues. So wow.
It's a never-ending
Woo!
journey. It's a
Right.
never-ending journey. And to your point about there are people who don't make it,
Mm-hmm.
give up on themselves. I'm not one to give up on myself. I'm just not, that's just not my fabric. Now, having said that, there have been times I want to just throw my hands up, right? For whatever reason, over the course of, again, my life and my journey. And I'll find myself kind of down and out for a second, maybe, right, maybe a day, or sometimes maybe 2 days, but I can't stay there.
Yeah.
I've never been able just to stay there stagnant and not do anything about it. And again, that just may be a part of my fabric. However, I recognize that there are people who have given up on themselves. And so again, I will say that through other people's inspiration and nurturing has made all the difference in my life. And that's what I'm here to do for other people as well, because they don't need to just give up and throw their hands up. There's answers, there's solutions to each person's problems if they just stop, be quiet. I love quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
We say that's my favorite sound. And just allow themselves to be who they are and realize that they can actually create anything they want. We've heard many, many stories of people who were down and out, who have raised themselves up to become doctors or lawyers or billionaires even, right? Actors, actresses, inventors, innovators, you name it. They exist and they are an incentive to all of us. What propelled or incentivized them, even in their worst days, their darkest days, to continue on? And again, I believe that at some point, even they encountered somebody who cared, somebody who said, you can do this thing. I'm there with you and I'm there for you. Take my hand. And off they went, walking on their own with, again, the back end support. So I think we all can be vehicles for that. I think we all have an obligation and a commitment for that. As long as we are breathing, we owe that to each other. We're all in this together. And I embrace that.
Amen. Amen. Whew. I just want to like shout, like, oh my
You can shout.
yes, yes, yes. Wow. Indeed, I am inspired. I know, gosh, woo, yes, yes, yes. We'll have to sit and talk for, you know, away from this or whatever, and just let the time just go, because I am being, you know, poured into. And so I just thank you. I thank you. Thank you. There is another way that you inspire individuals. And when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, what? You did the most amazing thing, right? So encouraging other individuals to, it wasn't just the exercise, but, and I was like, okay, I mean, you know, it was a challenge that you put out there, but in the midst of this challenge, you are encouraging, motivating, inspiring, offering knowledge. And before you know it, then it's like, okay, she's down, right? Like, so she finished. And so, okay, you tell about this whole plank challenge that you did. And I have posted it on my social media page, everyone. So please take a look at this amazing thing. And it was 365 days of this, right?
Well, this last
I believe so. It said 365. Okay.
Right.
Go
Right.
ahead, please share. Like, where did that come from? What were you thinking when you said, I'm gonna sit here on this floor and encourage them in this plank?
Let me first give props to a woman by the name of Candace Camille, who is called the Wellologist. And Candace actually started the Plank Talk Challenge. I started in like 2015. So I've been planking for several years. I think I took a hiatus for about 9 months, I don't know, 2016, because I was working on my book at that time. And so I figured, why not? Let me try it. One, it's good for exercise. So it really is an exercise. And two, I was going through something, right? I was going through that period again in my life where I was feeling kind of down and out. Nobody would know that because I'm always pretty happy-go-lucky, as my dad would say, and always pretty optimistic about most things. But I was struggling with some things, certainly. And so I thought, and I used to post information on Facebook, again, encouraging posts, inspirational posts. And so I said, you know what? I know I'm not the only one going through this thing, right? And so that's really what started it. I said, let me take these posts as I'm going through doing this exercise. I might as well talk. I might as well share some information. And that's how, again, it started, by doing the inspirational quotes centered around primarily success. And again, trying to work myself through much of that. So while it was probably a benefit to other people, I was really doing it from a selfish standpoint, because I was really talking myself through the journey. And then it just became a habit. So the premise really behind the Plank Challenge for me was more about commitment and discipline, accountability, and sticking around those things. Yes, I could get there every night and do it. I could talk myself through whatever it was I was going through. Then I felt an obligation to all the people that were watching me plank, right? So it became an encouragement. Well, if somebody else is having like a so-so day, then let me share this message with them. And I've gotten so much feedback, even being out, whether it's at events or conferences, or people would say, aren't you that plank lady from Facebook? People I don't even know. And it also encouraged other people to take up planking, because it is an exceptional exercise, right? It helps contribute to your health and wellness. And so it serves several purposes. That's how I started. So thank you, Candace Camille, if you're watching. If not, hopefully the word gets back to you, that you have been an inspiration to me as well, to help me inspire lots of other people. So that's really where it came from. Finally, and again, it's been off and on, so I probably planked well over 1,000 some days over the course of the last several years. But I figured it was time. You know, everything has a season, right? That it was time to give myself a break. I still exercise each day. I just don't post it. And to give myself a break and to move on to some other things like the life coaching that I am pursuing. So a little bit more time. Not really, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
We're talking about like my schedule.
Wow. I mean, it just amazing. And again, you keep talking about that triumph. You know, you keep talking about victory. You keep talking about overcoming and how you're doing it for yourself. But in the midst of you doing it for yourself, yes, others are winning, you know, because we see you, you know, you're encouraging. I mean, the nuggets that you were offering while you were in a plank, it was, you know, and you were just talking just as calm. And I'm like, look at her, what? I think I would have a little issue if I did that.
It's just about doing it, you know, at least giving it a try. That's one of my favorite sayings. And even if you start out with 20 seconds, okay, well, 20 seconds can become 30 seconds. And that can become a minute. And that can become 3 minutes. And before you know it, you're talking for 5, 6, 7. I think my longest time was like 13 and a half minutes, maybe 14 of planking time.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
there you
Amazing. That's beautiful. It really is. So you shared about your coaching um, business. Could you, or coaching practice? Could you please share with the world what you or who you coach?
Well, I started out coaching real estate entrepreneurs. So again, people that come into the business, they now want to move from employment to entrepreneurship, as I did a number of years back. And I love bringing up new people. I love getting them to explore, again, their potential, what they have to offer, putting aside those same limited beliefs and making people believe in themselves and know that they just have more to offer. And so from the real estate coaching, the hiring, the recruiting, the coaching, I'm transitioning, not that I'll leave that, but I am transitioning that into, again, the life transformational coaching, primarily focused on women entrepreneurs and women executives in their first like 7 to 12 years, because I find what I call the 5 to 7 year itch. That's what I call it, where you get into your business and everything is kind of going really cool. It's good. You're enjoying going to work every day. And then one day you wake up and you realize, I'm not serving maybe who it is I really need to serve or want to serve. I'm not serving in quite the capacity or the way that I want to serve. There's something more for me. You're not quite sure what the more may be, but there's something more. And so it's how to empower and equip and encourage those women who are feeling discontent now, right? Personal discontent, 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, to use another woman's phrase, how they can become more productive, how they can maximize their potential, how they can increase their income. All of that centers around kind of being discontented. And I think most of us that are in business have been there, whether you're in service-based business or you're in the medical profession or administratively. Women have encountered, again, through so much of our fears, our own internal creation of roadblocks, I call them, right? Some people may call them barriers. It's pretty much all the same to me.
Right.
We put them up there and then we don't know how to maneuver ourselves around them. And sometimes we're not even quite sure that there's something there. We just know something's blocking us. So if I've been at a position for 5 years and I'm feeling some kind of way, but yet I'm still there thinking, well, maybe I should look for another job, or maybe I should go back to school, or maybe I should do this, that, or the other, but I don't move. I'm stuck. I don't do anything. Nothing's going to change.
Right.
And so we have to move in order for something to change. That's the space that I really want to be in now, is to help people move, build up the momentum so that they can get themselves stepping forward, maximize their potential, create personal contentment, and fulfill their professional goals. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not when you're trying to get people to really work through their own internal
Right.
awakening so that they can do that. Because
Right.
that's a real part of the journey, is
Absolutely.
to believe in themselves that it's okay to pick up and move to something else where you think you can be better served and better serve other people. That's really what it's all about.
Awesome. Awesome. Ooh, and so what was the name of your practice again?
It's under my name. It's Brenda C. Small. Now I do have a business, Powered with Potential LLC. That's my umbrella. The coaching business will fall within that as well.
Okay. And is that the name of your coaching business?
The coaching program is Turning Point Experience. Because
Turning Point.
Right. The turning point experience, because it coincides with that 5 to 7 year itch. And it's at that point that it should be a turning point for women that are feeling just so stuck and don't know how to, again, shift themselves out of that space.
Amen. Turning Point. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, and so woof, with all of that, there's even more.
There's
Tell us
more.
about, yes, tell us about this book.
Give me more, Mikey. Give me more.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Give it to Mikey. There's a
Okay,
story. Let me just share this because I
sure.
the story. It's an old story. It's an old, I guess, I don't know if it's a fairy tale or what. But it's called the Little Train That Could. Have you ever heard
Uh-huh.
that? And it demonstrates again just the willingness to step up to the plate. I've always been told that I step up to the plate when there's a need for somebody to do something, whatever it is. And so there's some trains that are traveling along a track, and the big train, the caboose, I think, or whatever it is, gets stuck. So that means that nothing can move. And so there's trains going by and nobody's helping out this train to get itself moving. And this little train comes along and says, kind of, what's going on? What's wrong? And the big train says, I'm stuck, broke down, nobody's helping me. So the little train says, well, I'm small, I'm not sure I can be a big help, but I'll try. And so the little train kind of attaches itself and it starts moving and putting itself along until it builds up momentum and it gets up and then it goes down. And the trains are moving along. And the lesson for me in that is, one, always be willing to try. Be willing to try. Expect the best from yourself, right? Because even the littlest helping hand can be a big helping hand to somebody else, because you never know what somebody else is going through, what their experience is. So don't underestimate your value. Big value, little, it's all the same. It's still value to somebody.
Amen.
So I love that story. I'm not telling it quite the way that really is.
You did it perfectly.
But the whole point is, the little train thought, I'm not worth much. I'm really too small to help you, but I'll try it anyway. And it worked. And so we can't underestimate, again, the impact we may have on somebody's life. We think it's a small deed, when a small deed to them is a big deal and a big deed that can help them on their way too. So I love that story.
Well, you told it perfectly. I love the way that you shared it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking a pause, because see, some may have just gone on into the next thing, but I'm glad that you said, hold on, let me share this one thing, and you laughed with me and it was awesome. And, you were being you and walking in your true and authentic self. So I say thank you for doing that. And thank you for that moment. And I would love to get to the book, if you could share your book.
Well, that's been a journey too. So I started writing the book, again, 5 years ago, trudging along, write my chapters. And I don't remember what happened. Probably got really busy with work or whatever was going on, or even maybe discouraged, I don't know. And I put it aside, always intending to get back to it. So last year, 2020, it was actually in January, I found myself stuck. I mean, really stuck. And even though I've had many, many accomplishments and recognitions and awards and just, great stuff, I was stuck. And I was feeling some kind of way about what I was doing and why I was doing it, and just kind of disconnected. And so I reached out to a good friend and said, I need a life coach. Now, this is something I really had not entertained before, thinking, oh, I can handle this. I can make it all by myself. And lo and behold, I connected with a fabulous life coach, actually in California. It was just before COVID hit. We're supposed to actually go out for the weekend, myself, and there were several others coming in from different places across the country. And we wind up having to do it virtually. Having said that, the point is, there were some things I needed to work through. And in that 3-day intense coaching session, I had major breakthrough in 3 areas of my life. Judgment, I found, was one of those critiques of myself. Trust was another. And again, the sense of lack of credibility because of loss. The most powerful moment in that weekend was I was sharing the story of the little girl that I was telling you about earlier, who I carried with me as, quote, a burden. And I saw that little girl as reminding me of lack, what I didn't have, the loss of my dad when I was 18, all kinds of stuff, negative stuff. And he said to me, as I was sharing with him the story, he said, well, do you hate her? I was taken back. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And I remember blurting out, no, I don't hate her. And he said, well, then tell her you love her. Tell her you love her, that she didn't understand. It wasn't her fault. And I thought, oh my gosh, unbelievable. And you know what? I did. I out loud said to that little girl, I love you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I don't fault you, because I was blaming myself. I was faulting myself all these years, dragging her along with me. She was always by my side. She still is. But now she's a companion. She's a companion now. She's my guide now, right? She's my ride or die chick.
Yeah.
Before, I was like ready to just like toss her away, because I felt she was just holding me back, pulling me back.
Just
Whole different perspective now. The value of that little girl now grown up to become a young adult into adulthood. And here she is today. And so a lot of it, again, depends on our perspective of who we are, what we're here for, and getting somebody else to help us break through our own roadblocks.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it was like the universe just opened up and said, oh, seriously. And I can't sing, but seriously. Because from that point on, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, there was opportunities here and opportunities there, and I was embracing it all. I wasn't afraid of it anymore.
Right.
I mean, unbelievable, unbelievable. And so I thank Coach John for that evolution and that revelation that occurred over that course of time. That's what I want. I want to be like that when I grow up.
You are. Oh my goodness. Indeed you are. Absolutely. So that's
anyway, to
how
get to the
you
book,
started the book. Right. That's how. Okay.
Exactly. Because July 3rd, 2015, I remember the day. I was laying in bed, had woken up, and I felt a tear in my eye. And before I knew it, I was literally crying. I mean, heavy, heavy sobs. And I remember sitting up on the side of my bed saying, what's wrong? What's going on? I couldn't stop crying. And I had, at that point, a conversation with God, literally, and just started talking through some things. And I realized I was, again, feeling sorry for myself. I was disappointed in some things. I hadn't, in my mind, gotten to really where I expected to be at that point in my life, right? I felt so overwhelmed. I knew I was busy with work and other things going on, trying to, again, kind of be all things and do all things. I could not stop myself from crying. And that's really how the book evolved. And it was, again, my way of my own therapy, like taking myself back through this journey that then has become, hopefully, a healing point for other people as they go through the book as well. And there's some humor in there, and again, some real live examples and all that illustrations of kind of my experience that I'm relating, that hopefully other people will also be able to relate to. The book has 3 pillars. The first is awareness. The second is acceptance, or what I'll call ownership. And then the third pillar is action. So you become aware of what's bugging you, what's holding you back, why you're not where you want to be, at least the awareness of what the roadblocks may be. And then there's an ownership piece, right? There's an acceptance piece like, okay, I own that. I created it. I own it. Now, what am I going to do about it? And then that takes us into the action piece where there's some real tangible examples on how to do that. You know, how to turn your pain points into PowerPoints is really kind of what I'm getting at there. And realizing that it is a journey. It's a journey on recreating ourselves into being, you know, we again, probably oversaid, overplayed, you know, the best version of ourselves. We're constantly a work in progress.
Right.
Learning is a lifelong journey if you allow it to be, and never accepting that you are there yet. I'm not there yet. Wherever there is, I'm still striving, but while I am, hopefully I'm engaging and encouraging and educating and equipping and empowering other people on their journeys as well. I believe I owe them that because I owe myself that. And that's really how the book evolved, was a teardrop that turned into some pretty heavy sobbing. And I don't cry. I'm not a crier. It's hard for me to cry, but I cried that morning for sure. July 3rd, 2015. We'll never forget that day.
So what's the name of your book, Brenda?
The book is Powered with Potential, Ignite Your Inner Dynamic, 30-Day Guide to Create the Best You. And it's about a self-renewal journey along the way. It's a personal development is a space that I really, again, embrace, because I think we're all, again, a work in progress, and there should be intentional effort, ongoing effort to become better, to whether it's through an investment or through education or through a class, whatever it may be, of doing something for yourself, making yourself better than you were yesterday. And so now, having said that, Sonia, you know, I did share with you that even the book has been a journey, because I ran into a bad experience last year with the choice, unfortunately, of the quote editor / publisher that has carried itself into even to this day. And while the book should be published and out for pre-launch and pre-order, we've had some things come up that's now putting that in limbo, but I am moving forward with it with another individual. And so hopefully by May or June-ish, it will be ready for pre-launch. Yay!
Yay! Woo, woo, woo.
That's another good example, though, of not allowing circumstances to detour me, detract me, disrupt me from what I believe I am here to do. And so you will all be a part of that book launch when it's ready. It's going to happen.
Awesome. We would love, love, love to have you back that day for you to share, and, you know, let's get that book out, because just the nuggets that you shared, you know, in reference to guiding us along a journey of self-development, you know, that regardless of what comes our way, regardless of what our, even, you know, our physical eyes see that looks like destruction, look like, you know, it's all over. I can't bounce back from that. And regardless of what our mind tried to tell us, that we can overcome that, you know, we can get past that. And it is perspective, you know, that somehow allows us to see the sun shining even in the midst of all the, you know, the clouds covering. And so I love your story. I love your journey. I love the fact that you just keep pushing, and this story of your girl next to you.
Ride or die.
Your ride or die. Yes, yes, yes. Because it is a personal journey, you know, and that's where all of our stuff, you know, this, what the life that we live today, the things that we endure, everything that's in our mind and in our heart, it stemmed from that little girl or boy, you know, that's where it came from. You know, that's where all that stuff came from. And yes, just the journey of trying to overcome it and change the story that's in our mind. And you have done that, and you are still doing that, and it is beautiful. It indeed is beautiful. I thank you for sharing your story and your life and opening up, you know, yourself, being vulnerable here with us. It's been a beautiful one. And so the last thing that I'm going to ask you is, if you could give the world the biggest hug ever, what would your hug say?
Well, I want to say two. If I can give two big hugs.
Absolutely. We
At a
love
minimum.
hugs over here.
At a minimum. The first I've already cited, and that is circumstances are a reality, not your destiny. The second big hug would be to push past the pains of life to deliver all the possibilities. And just as childbirth can be painful and you labor through it, think about just all of the wonderful births that have come about from that. So that's the hugs that I would leave at a minimum with your audience. And I just, again, I thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable, because there was a time where, Sonia, I wouldn't really have shared any of this. So it just, again, shows my revelation and my evolution and my willingness to embrace change and understand that I really can create anything I want. I just, you know, again, it's about choices and making changes, and then decisions that are going to facilitate those choices and those changes, and be willing to do that. Is that uncomfortable? Oh, you better believe it is. But at some point, you get uncomfortable being comfortable. You get uncomfortable being comfortable. And it's even that, and those particular women in that stage where they are, that 5 to 7 year itch, 5 to, you know, I mean, whether it's, because 5 years turns into 10 if you don't do anything.
Right.
10 turns into 12 and then into 15. And before you know, it's like, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Well, you know what I mean? So with all of that, again, I thank you for helping me to even share of myself and feel okay about doing it, to allow myself to be vulnerable, because I think that's another key. We often don't speak up and say anything because we want to pretend everything is okay. That goes back to your imposter syndrome. It's not always okay. And that's okay too.
Right.
That's okay too. So thank you.
This was amazing. It really was. It really was. So again, I thank you, Brenda Smalls, for gracing us with your presence and your wisdom and the nuggets and just your love and your fun. I always love fun. I love fun. I'm goofy and I like to have fun. And you know, then when I have somebody else who's like that, it's like, yay!
That's the other thing, is just have fun along the way in the journey, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Gotta embrace that.
Absolutely. So I know you have to go to another conversation, but again, thank you. And thank you everyone for watching, for taking time out to spend with us and hear all the awesome journey of Miss Brenda, and be inspired and encouraged by her journey to take your journey. And regardless of the being uncomfortable, regardless of the fear, just go for it. Just go for it. So again, and until next time, have a beautiful one. Super duper blessings to you. And as always, the biggest hug ever.
Virtual hugs.
Bye. Bye-bye. It was good
Bye,
to see you.
Sonia.
Bye, Miss Brenda. Bye-bye.